What's up, everyone out there in YouTube land? This is Rockin' Dave, North Fort Myers, Southwest Florida. One of those bad boys. Ta-da! And we got some breaking news, my friends. Yes, our sponsors. Yes, we do have some sponsors. And you're going to love this. Since I'm lefty. What do you think? Sponsored by support from my wife and all of you. I thought you'd like that, my friends. Yep. Thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, I get a little hit of my cappuccino coffee. Lovely German lady that runs this insurance company. Out of here out of Southwest Florida. And so yeah, today is Saturday, August 11th. And, well, let's see. Since I'm not the brightest bulb in the crayon box, it was August 11th, 2001, where we did our epic show at a place in Bolingbrook, Illinois. Panama, yeah, PC Lounge. And it was called Panama Connection, PC Lounge. And we had a little pyrotechs going off, and it was an awesome show, my friends. But we recorded it on a camera that I can't get the tape out and put it on, you know, there's an, it was one of the thick JVC tapes. So what we have to do is get the a cassette adapter so we could put that show up. Our cat's down here. His name is Moses, but I call him Bugs. B-O-O-G-S. I even named one of the patches after him on my on the RP360. Like all cats, this guy in particular is very curious on everything. So yeah, so it was back in 2001 we did this show, and of course the tragedy exactly 1 month after that, 9/11, was just horrific. Very sad, very, very sad indeed. We did have a good show, August 11th. So today, what I'm doing here is I'm running my guitar, my Ibanez RGA, for something. Let's see, the RGA 42 MF Flame Maple. They call this Dragon's Eye Burst. And the RG is a little bit thinner than the RGA is thinner than the RG series. So it's like bridging the S series, which used to be the Sabre series, with the RG. And of course, a little bit different shape on the contours on the horn. You only have a belly contour. I have an arm contour, which I like that better. So I'm running it through the Digitech RP360 XP and into one of my Digitech Stereo Jam Man, but my tuning is drop B. Now we're back in standard. So I'm running the guitar through the Digitech drop pedal, which I really like because on the fly you could change tunings. Now in an upcoming video, I'll see if I could do this for next Saturday's live stream. I'll probably use my BC Rich Warlock, which a lot of people asked me about this guitar, you know. Kind of an iconic guitar. I always get associated with it. Love that guitar. We bought that in 2001. Oh, the name of the band that we were in, it was our band called Legend. And it was awesome. Had a lot of, had some great times. But anyways, what I'm going to be doing next week, if I remember, and I probably will because this will be on YouTube to remind me, is take this guitar, and of course I have my Roland GR pickup, and run it through my guitar synth. And I could take both outputs, run it into the input of the, well, I'll have to think about this now. But I could run it into the input of the Yeah, I could take the two inputs, run it into the input of the Boss RC20. I got the 20 and I have the 20 XL. The 20, if people don't know about the the Boss RC20, it was the first Boss loop pedal that came out. I think that was like maybe 2002, something like that. 2004, I bought the RC20 XL. The XL, you could fade out your loops. R2, R3 locker nut. How's it going, my friends? We got 4 people watching. I want to say thank you for all our subscribers. We got some new subscribers. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. This channel right here, my friends, we desire to inspire, and we always try to keep things real. The no BS zone right here, my friends. The reason why we do that, we want people. Old man Dan, how are you? Good afternoon. Is that we want people to see what's really going out here in the gigging world. And, in the future, I probably will do some stuff. And I was talking with my wife about this earlier. With different editing and different cameras and things of that nature. And that might be, once in a while when we get the technology and that. But I never want to deviate from doing this because this is as real as it gets, Sometimes the sound quality may not be that good. I mean, I do know there's a company, Blue Microphones. They have one called the Blue Mikey. It sticks right into the side of your phone, so it's a much better microphone. Plus, it does have an input. If you want to run your guitar or let's say keyboard or whatever, you could run it right into it, so you get a much cleaner recording. That I'd like to look into for better audio. But as far as with the real live gigs and things like that, I really don't believe in doing an editing and cutting out this mistake, that mistake, or there was one of the gigs we did where I had to stop. I busted a string and I was changing my strings. I really think people should see this. It kind of helps them out, as well. But what I was going to say is, I'll run my BC Ridge through the loop pedal, and that loop pedal run that output into the Digitech drop, so that both synth and guitar will be dropped at the same tuning. And it's awesome what this thing could do, man. Awesome. Now, we have a new subscriber. His name is Metal X, and I was checking out his live show last night. And I didn't mean to stay on as long as I did. I thought it was real interesting. And this guy is playing his a short scale Ibanez. It looked like a Paul Gilbert model. And he was running it through his Hughes and Kettner half stack. And I think his Hughes and Kettner half stack, it was a solid state, just like my Hughes and Kettner Edition Blue is a solid state. His half stack, it might be the model called the Warp Series or the Warp 7. I do know in the early to mid 2000s they did have a model like that. And I do remember seeing a 212 model where it was really geared to drop tuning and 7-string guitars. And it sounds great, man. Hughes and Kettner makes some really, really good stuff. But when I'm running all this with these tracks and the drums and the bass sound, I have to run it through a powered PA speaker, because when you run it through a guitar a cabinet or guitar amp, it's really set for mid-range. So some of the lows and some of the highs, they kind of get like muddy. They kind of get buried. Whereas you run into a PA speaker, now you got full range, and you get much better wide tone. But yeah, this guy, great guy. I believe it's Metal X. He spells it metal and then L-E and then X. So hopefully he'll get on and maybe correct me on that. But yeah, he was doing some serious jamming, man. And great guitar player, great guy. So subscribe to his channel, because I really like what he was doing. And surprisingly, he was using the Digitech RP355, I believe it was. Now, I had one of those, but I had a situation where, because the pedals were plastic and the switch, something happened with the switch. So, and then we bought another one, and then we sold it to one of my students. He just happened to, just so he could get some more multi-effects. And, but he wasn't really too fan of the digital. And I really don't blame him. The digital distortion's not really my thing. I do come from the era where we've had tube amps. I do like a tube amp. but the convenience of this thing, running it through a house system. This is what your fly rigs will be, basically. You have some good ones that'll have more of an analog preamp and analog distortions, which that's what you would really want. But but when you run it through the house system, it won't clip the tweeters. That's the thing with distortions and overdrives. They will have a real bad hissy sound. And matter of fact, let me just give you a demonstration, because this is what it would sound like. This has a switch if I want to go to amp, meaning going to a guitar amp. But this is what I mean by this hissy. Yeah, maybe if I do a whole note, you'll hear this. Pretty cool. And that's what I like about this pedal, because I could tailor it to go to output of a mixer. We have the Digitech Screamin' Blues pedal, and I can't remember where we got it at now. Maybe at Brookdale Music in Naperville, Illinois. And then we're having a special, and I think I got it for like 25 bucks. It's a good sounding pedal. But that series of pedals, there's one called the Hothead Distortion, the Screamin' Blues, the Bad Monkey, which is like a green pedal, it's supposed to be like a tube screamer. It has two outputs, those pedals. That series of pedals has two outputs. One will say for guitar amp, the other one will say for a mixer. And I've used that, running it right into a house system without a guitar amp, and it smoked, man. It sounded killer. So when you're going to do anything, if you're like a one-man band or anything like that, I do recommend that type of a system if you want to get this full sound, including a drum track and a bass guitar track. That's where you can start to see that you'll need to have a powered PA, because it really just doesn't work. And I'll give you an example of the bass pedal. That was Hendrix, if 6 was 9. Now, my wife does have a Warlock bass guitar that I'll use. I used it on my earlier CDs while I was laying down the bass track, and I started to learn how to pop. I got a song called Uno that is like very hard rock Santana style, and you'll hear the popping on the bass, and I was just messing around with it. I do not have a bass amp. I know there's a guy out there that does the same thing that I'll do, or he has the same drum machine, I should say. It's the Boss DR880, and that drum machine also has a guitar amp and bass amp and bass acoustic guitar patches in there. So I could run that the bass guitar through that, and then into the mixer, or right into my digital recorder, and lay down nice clean tracks. Because back in the day, after we moved out of our house, after we sold the house and moved out, and before we moved down here, we lived in an apartment, because it's just Deb and myself. And I was blessed enough to have good neighbors. My neighbor next to me, her name was Lee. She was married to a musician, and she used to enjoy hearing me practice, and especially on my classical and my jazz style music. The rock, she was okay on that, but mostly she liked the bluesy stuff and that, and the classical guitar. And I used to tell her, I said, if ever I'm bothering you, just let me know and I'll keep the volume down. But late at night, I do my recordings. I go directly into the mixer, and everything really is perception, guys. When you do stuff, you're not going to please everybody, and sometimes you have to do things out of necessity, like with drum machines and drum tracks. Sometimes it's really hard to get drummers or to get together with drummers, and which I do miss the day. I do miss back in the day when we had the Illinois Entertainer when I lived in Chicago. I'd get together with drummers. I'd call drummers up and go over to their place. And Dry Heat 480, what is happening to you, my friend? How's it going, buddy? That's the Digitech drop pedal. And what I used to do is, actually, let me do something real quick. Let me finish the story about the drummers. I used to call the drummers up and go to their house, bring my amp, my effect pedal, and I had an Emerson boombox. They had the double cassette recording, double cassette, so you could dub the. And I always get blank tapes, go to the house, hit record, and just jam, because this is how I was able to really start writing songs with other people, of course. Once you got your drums and like rhythm guitar, there's your foundation right there. And I'd go home and just try to build on it. But I didn't have half of what I've got now. I know a lot of the stuff wasn't available, really. And I do remember when the first Roland guitar synth came out, or the very first one that I saw. So I know it's one of their very early ones. It was shaped like a Les Paul guitar with all the switches, and they had this big ass control foot pedal. I want to say the first time I saw that was maybe, I want to say it's got to be 1970, like late 1979, 1980. It was at Chicago Music Company, and they had one room dedicated to all the Moog keyboards, some Roland, but mostly it was all Moog. And then I saw on the wall the Les Paul style Roland guitar synth. It was the guitar, and then the pedal board. And I guess the thing had a horrible tracking thing, but you was able to do some really cool stuff. That was really the only thing that we had back then. And of course, it was $1 gazillion, and when you're working part-time at a bike shop, and then when you're 15 years old, wait a minute, no, then I wasn't 15. I graduated, I was 17, yeah, you know what, years go by, you forget, right? But I was around that age, yeah, because I graduated in 81, I was 17, so 80, I was 16, yeah, so I was 15, 16, anyways. But that's what we had, and then from the bike shop, because I was underage and we didn't have workers permits, and someone faked on the guy and he got in trouble, then I had to go work at Jewel grocery store, on minimum wage back then was like $3, if it was $3 something, maybe it was $2.80, I can't remember. Oh, the drop pedal is awesome. Yeah, R2, thank you. Yeah, Digitech, they do make some great stuff. Their strong point I would say is what they've been coming up with, the Trio Plus, the S drum, the drop pedal, the Whammy DT, which I'd love to get my hands on that, because you could go up and you could go back down on the drop tuning side in conjunction with the Whammy. A lot of cool stuff. And the RP, even though the RP360, the RP series pedals is a multi-effects unit that maybe is not dedicated for certain things, if you get in and you learn how to EQ it, and it is a little bit time consuming, but once you get the sound that's pretty decent for your ears, and you run into the a PA system or your guitar amp, and you can tweak the sound, you can get a good decent sound out of it. I do have to say, JJ House of Jams, when he was doing a spotlight or demoing on the Line 6 Helix, after seeing his demos, just a couple ones that I saw, that is a kick-ass unit. And then after hearing how Yamaha bought him, and now it's part of their engineers, yeah, I really see what you can do with that. So it is great. I just would like to see. Yes, we will do a live show tonight. Dry Heat is asking, am I doing a live show tonight? Yeah. And I'll be doing some of the more rockin' originals. We're in the process of writing some songs, so I don't think we'll be able to get those out. Maybe I could do like an instrumental version of them. Sonia, how you doing? Rock and roll. But when Mike feels very comfortable, then we'll start doing a lot more of our originals. And And we'll start taking these covers and doing our versions of them. Because like I said, there's definitely something going on with performance royalties, and Deb and I, we are members of BMI and ASCAP, and you know we've got original material out there, and so if it's a situation where they say, you know, why don't you just play your stuff and that, and I don't mind. I really don't mind at all, because I think it's very much needed out there. It's much needed that people start to hear new music. They start to hear, you know, what bands could really do on their own. Because back in the day, and I know R2, R3 Locking Nuts, since you used to play at the Thirsty Whale, back in the day, it was original metal with a couple of covers. I mean, I remember bands like Paradox, Hammer On, Sergeant Rocks. Oh God! I mean, sometimes the names Ion Vein, Seventh Omen, and I was in a band called Shadow Lord. It was originally Shadow Lord was originally Arch Enemy, but because Arch Enemy was out, conflict of names, you know. I was in a band called Fourth Rising, you know. But the whole thing was, we did original material and then some covers. Very few, maybe one or two. And people will say, well, there's not an interest in it. Well, there's not an interest in it because no one's out there doing it. So the more that time elapses and it kind of goes, you know, away, then people say, okay. But if you could bring it back, you know what? Even if there's two people in that audience and you go and you do your show, it does start to grow. You know? Yes, originals, maybe 3 covers in our set. That's right, R2. Yeah. Seems nobody wants to hear original music in the bars anymore. Yeah, you know what, Dry Heat? That's right. But I've had situations where I've played a couple of my originals, or I've improvised something, and because it was melodic, and because the people that were in the bar were, you know, an older crowd, they would ask me, oh, is that Joe Satriani? You know? Wow, that's awesome. I love it. And I'd tell them, I'm just making this up on the fly. Like, oh, dude, that's awesome. That sounds really cool. You know, I think that the secret ingredients is sounding as good as you possibly can and then enjoying what you're doing. That's what people really see. And people could tell when someone's faking it, you know, because they're trying to get the audience involved in that. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about that, but I think what has happened, people are so deathly afraid that they won't get a gig. And, you know, we do a lot of covers, you know. I'm not saying that we don't. Of course we do. But me personally, I would like to wean us off of those covers so much and get us onto originals and have maybe those covers as the influences. You know what I mean? And I think that'll help people. That will really help people. And, you know, I was going to try to keep this like, maybe I'll just go ahead and do this. But, you know, everything takes time. So my advice to bands out there, or you guys, when you go see cover bands, maybe you could, you know, shoot them this idea and say, why don't you guys write songs, your own original songs that you could go ahead and say it's influenced by that. You know, Richie Blackmore said in this one article in Guitar Player magazine way back in the day, was his statement was just rip everybody off, or just steal from everyone else, because that's basically what everybody else has done. So the reality is that, and he didn't mean it in a bad way. He's meaning it, you know, you have your influences, go ahead and use those influences. You know, I mean, the reality is this, my friends. You know, Freebird is, no, wait a minute. Yeah. American Devil, how are you, my friend? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. You know, sometimes I forget the names of the songs, and it's so stupid because it's stuff I grew up with, you know. Sweet Home Alabama is, you know, is without playing the rhythm. You got, but all right, here's the rhythm. You know what? You have a D, you have a C or C at 9, and you have a G. Then you have Wanted Dead or Alive. C, and G. And then you'll have, I mean, a gazillion other songs. I think even in Neil Diamond, Cherry, Cherry Baby, it's D, C, and G. You know, this is what I mean. The chords, they're borrowing the same chords. So why can't you guys do that? Of course you can. You know, and just do it your own way and put your own lyrics to it, and then, you know, it could almost sound like, well, Dave, you're telling people to rip other people. No, I'm not telling anyone to do what you want. But the point is, if no one does anything, then instead of 10 years of a lapse of original music, now it's 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. You know what I mean? At some point, maybe just someone's got to have a pair of nuts enough to say, go out there and guess what? I'm going out there and doing it. You know. Yeah.
You play a lot of original
Oh yeah.
music.
You know what? When I am over at, excuse me guys, sorry, when I am over here at La Corte, this is where I do a lot of my classical, flamenco style. The vast majority of what I do is totally improvising, right on the fly, chord progressions, and coming up with melodies for those chord progressions. You come up with a lot of ideas. Yes, yeah, that's just it. You know, or reverse the pattern. Into the fire.
He got a gecko.
Okay. You know what,
pause
guys?
for a
Have a
second?
conversation with you. I have to go take care of something really, really quick. And I shall be right back, my friends. Don't go nowhere.
Sorry, guys. Moses, he got a little baby gecko in the workout room, in our Florida room, and he's kind of not responding, the little gecko, so...
I gotta give him mouth-to-mouth restitution.
Oops. Sorry, guys. Yeah, he got him. Yeah, it re-knocked him. Okay, it's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
People are saying the geckos like to play dead. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. We're back, my friends. Yeah, geckos do like to play dead, but I think this one really was, unfortunately. Yeah.
This guy just subbed to you. American Devil.
Oh yeah, American Dairy. Yeah.
Hey.
You got it, my friend. You rock, brother.
That's
Brother. Sorry about that, man. You rock, brother. But like R2, R3 was saying, you know, GCD. Someone give me a doctor. You see what I mean? The whole thing is, can you make a rhythm sound like it's a song? Because the reality is, guys, the reality is if you take song titles and if you take lyrics out, what do you got? Rhythm, right? Now see what I have to do. Okay, this patch right here is a plexi. Hey, thanks, brother. So you see what you could do with all this is start creating your own songs. Let's see. If I were to do this again, and what I'm going to do is call for, since I got drum patterns in here, I'm going to take that same chord progression and just see what comes out. And hopefully it's going to inspire people. Let me see here. Okay. Okay. So there's our drums. right there on the fly, and it sounds like a song. At least I think it sounds like a song. Maybe you guys think it sounds like a song too, you know? So that's just it. And the thing is, I've had one of my former students that I went to high school with, and, you know, we just moved away because I think he was going to go to Texas and whatever, you know, we moved down here. And, but he used to come in, take lessons. He was a great guy. Great, Jim Riplow. Excellent friend, excellent guy. But he used to come in and say, "Oh, what song is that? Hey, that sounds familiar. That sounds." It sounds like it because, you know, I'm influenced from that whole era, you know. And I really think that that type of an idea, if more and more cover bands just say, you know what, that sounds right. That kind of sounds accurate. Hey, you know what? As I'm a little sidetrack here, I really think it's cool when people converse with each other, and I want them to and sub to each other, because that is the whole purpose of YouTube. So absolutely, and because you guys will, you know, you guys will say something to each other, and I'll think like, hey, that's right, you know. So absolutely, I think it's a cool thing, and you know, that's what we all do. But basically, as I say, that I think if all these cover bands would get this idea of like, hey, you know, we got to learn these songs anyway, and you know how it is when you're learning cover songs. You go over this chord progression or that chord progression or this solo or that solo, and if you're a creative person, boom, you just start coming up with a million ideas. And that right there is how you start, you know, making new music. You know. Now I've had our friend of ours that I just subbed to last night, Metal X, and him and like a lot of other people out there have asked me what are my influences as a guitarist. Well, if I could just nail it down to really just one guitar player that had the most impact on my playing, it'd be jazz fusion guitarist Al Di Meola. Jim Geetrin, how are you, my friend? Hey, I was checking out the video today, and I think you put it up a week ago, of it's a Dawkins song. Sorry, I forget the name of the song, man. But I was jamming. I was doing my picking exercises, jamming along with it, man, with my headphones on. Sounded killer. Sounded real killer. And then there was a video with the collaboration with you and Joe Wentz. There's only one way to rock. Yeah. Yeah, it's Sammy Hagar. I thought you said Dawkins. Oh, yeah, there was a Dawkins song, but then there was another song. Yeah, that was corrected me. Yeah. No, I love it. Oh, yeah, exactly. Only one way to rock is Dawkins. And, but Jim Geetrin also did, wow. Not Into the Fire. Maybe it is. I can't remember now. Sorry about that, but it was kicking. It was ass kicking. But no, my main influence would be jazz fusion guitarist Al Di Meola. That's where me, and I'm telling you guys, a lot of guys out there, even if they don't mention this is where at some point someone from someone else, you know, has passed down this idea of running scales like this. Or like you could hear those type of scale runs off of Return to Forever with Chick Corea, Stanley Clarke, and Lenny White, and Al Di Meola, and I believe that came out in 1976. And then Al Di Meola's second album, Elegant Gypsy, I believe came out like 76, 77. His first album came out, you know, before that, Land in Midnight Sun, but it was like heavy Latin jazz fusion. Like if you took Carlos Santana and gave him some espresso, and boy, it was just it was unbelievable. But you had those type of scale runs played up against a chord progression Let's see if I could, get this chord progression going here. Let's see if I could do just a quick little loop on that, okay? So you kind of get the idea. And again, this is all mid-70s underground jazz fusion. So guys like Eddie Van Halen also referred to one of his influences, Allen Holdsworth. Allen Holdsworth was around in that same jazz fusion era, early to mid 1970s, and but his playing was a lot of the legato, and that's where Eddie Van Halen got that legato feel from. But this is what some of this stuff sounds like played against these chord progressions. Okay, so you have a lot of minor sevenths. Anyways, I'm just gonna play it. Add a bass. Okay. So I'm gonna use more of a cleaner overdrive so you get more of an idea of what was going on back then. So that kind of gives you the idea of playing that type of scale pattern against that type of chord progression. Now, of course, it's not rock, it's not metal, but what was going on in the early to mid 1970s is rock and roll was still in its very, very creative infancy, and you had a lot of jazz, you had the blues phenomenon going on, and then you had a lot of the folk music phenomenon going on, and then, believe it or not, Andreas Segovia was very, 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 very respected in the rock and roll world, even though as a classical guitarist, because I remember reading an article that George Harrison said that he loved watching and listening to Segovia play, which is why some of the Beatles songs would use a nylon string guitar, because he really respected that. But okay, so then you had, the Marshall stack was really coming out. This whole idea of loud was coming out, and it took, I think it was Miles Davis that I think the album was called Bitches Brew or something like that, and he had the idea of merging together with all these people, and it just spawned off on something that was just, in my opinion, I thought was really kick-ass, really, really kick-ass. Because to me, it was like music that had vision. You could close your eyes. It's music that, it's not music to make a point on being funny or being stupid, whatever. It was just music that had the quality of musicianship and vision. That's like a lot of your prog. Your prog metal comes from a lot of the prog rock. The prog rock came off of the jazz fusion, where the prog rock was not so much funk oriented, with rhythms like that. It'd be more like Rush, early Yes, UK, which is where Allen Holdsworth used to be in that band UK. So all of this started to come out, and then what started happening little by little, people just started to taking all different types of ideas from it and running wild with it. And I think, honestly, guys, I really think that, I know I see a lot of videos where guitar is dead, and obviously when you watch some of my shows, there's sometimes a good audience response. Sometimes they're talking about, you were supposed to buy me a beer there and you didn't buy me a beer. That's the most important thing. Always remember that. They could care less about this, right? They could care less about that special tube, you know, that one kind of tube that's stuck in a socket that no one cares about, because their glass is now almost empty, and their concern is, I need another drink. Yes, I could care less. I took you, you know. Here's here's what these people will think. You know, wow, it took you 10 years to do that. Maybe you should have done something else. It won't take you so long. You know what I mean? But, and I don't try to, you know, disrespect that. You know, let them be, let them have fun. You know, that's life, right? Because I guarantee some of those people that I've had conversations with that they like, they don't understand guitar playing. You know, they don't understand. Well, why do you want to do so? How come you're not singing? You know, they don't understand. But then we'll get talking on a conversation, and they'll say something about, you know, to the fact that whether they're an engineer or they'll have some sort of an interest that will spark your interest. Or some of them are engineers and, you know, bicycles, and, you know, I checked out this and check out that, or, you know, they'll have some. They're smart people. They're not stupid people. You know, it's just that their interests are in, you know, just different subjects. But it used to be back in the day, we used to go out, and of course we were part of the live scene back in the day where people would come out because they wanted to see us play. You know, they wanted the fast guitar solos. They wanted to see this. They went to the creativity of it. You know, and I really think what would help bring that back is making a start. You know, because see, if you think about it. And I've had this conversation with some of the local music stores, and actually, the guy, one of the kids that works over at Educators Music, he nailed it. He says, you know what? If no one makes the start, nothing's gonna happen. So what if it's, you know, you got to climb Mount Everest, and you're like way down here. Matter of fact, you know, it's not at the bottom of the hill. There's a long line. You're at the back of the line. At least you're in that line. At least you're making that start. And I'm in this for the long haul. I've always been into this for the long haul. So, unless I decide to quit doing this, and then, you know, it's because of I decided it, not because something discouraged me too. You know, and you get a lot of that. That does happen. But I just love doing what I do. So I would like to be part of that, just moving forward and say, hey, you know what? Let's try to bring the scene back. There'll be enough interest. It's awfully strange. All of you talk with each other and talk with your friends and say, hey, don't you think, remember back in the day when we go check out this band and that band, and we're all fans of guitar, and, you know, you got EVH guitars and amps out there that, you know, it's out there for a reason. Eddie Van Halen is a phenomenal guitarist. He's a brand. He is well known, well respected, and even if a person doesn't play, you get doctors and lawyers that back in the day, before they had to cut their hair and put the suit and tie on, you know, they had the long hair, and they were in a cover band or something. They were trying to rock out, and they were doing the best. And just because they went into a professional world doesn't mean they lost the love of, you know, like a hot rod car, well, hot rod guitar, you know. So there is definitely the interest there, because if there wasn't, YouTube wouldn't. You would not see what you're seeing on YouTube. That's if there was no interest. And what I was going to get to is about, speaking of an interest, is that some people think that the whole generation is lost. But you know what, guys? I have taught a lot of young kids, and I also drive for the school district. And I'm going to tell you something that's really magical about that gig. I get to interact with all these kids. And you know what? I hear these kids, especially when they find out that, you know, I'm a guitar player, like, oh, that's cool. Some of them don't like it, okay, but some of them do. And I'm talking about young kids, so they're already sparking an interest. Then you add to the fact that you go on YouTube and you see young kids putting up videos. Like, there's this girl, I subbed to her channel. I think she subbed to mine. You know, I think her name is Rachel. She's in her early 20s. She's got a love for Ibanez guitars. And she just started out, and she even said that when she started, she wasn't really into rock or metal, but then something sparked her interest. And in her first year in college, she had a radio program, and it was all rock and metal. So she actually is part of a movement of bringing stuff back. And she's young. You know, obviously, she was not alive when guys like myself and all my friends out there. I don't want to mention names. I don't like to say our age, you know. But back in the heyday of the metal scene, back in Chicago and of course all the other cities. Jim Dietrich had a very strong music um, scene in Louisiana back in the day. You know, these kids would love to go back in time like that. And I had a guitar student. She was 19 years old. Actually, I had her when she was 18 and her birthday. You know how it is, 18 and a half, going on 19, you know. And she used to tell me, Dave, I was born in the wrong generation because she loves 80s metal, you know. Let's see, I don't mean to be blabbing so much, guys. You know what? That's true, Drahi. Yeah, yeah. You know what? If you notice, I mean, I love to do my shredding, but I also love to play melodic. Um, and I have to agree with you guys. People, their perception of someone that is a virtuoso is someone that can play a million miles a minute. That's not, you know what a virtuoso, I mean, just look it up if there is dictionaries anymore. Now everything's Google, right? You know. But if you look it up, a virtuoso means someone that has their craft packed down to such a degree that 9 times out of 10 they sound good. You know what I mean? Whether it's a rhythm, whether it's something like this, you know, whether it's something like this. You know? I mean, I think, yeah. Arvon, how are you? I think you're in the chat here. I might have missed the icon coming up on here. I do everything on my phone, as a lot of you guys and gals know. But yeah, that's the deal. You know, you don't have to be a super shredder, or even playing leads. You could be a good rhythm guitarist. But the point is that yeah, there is a whole movement in all sectors of music that if it wasn't for YouTube, YouTube really has helped. It really has helped a lot of us who don't really get the fair chance. And I also want to go on to say is that I've had people tell me this, and I have been recording on my phone. I haven't put up any of this up yet, but I've been recording myself going to establishments trying to land a gig, newer places, and I want to be real respectful about this. Both the owners and all the musicians, but there is a lot of bias that's out there. There really is. And the only reason why I constantly bring it up is because I want people to be aware of it so that this doesn't shock them. Because I'll tell you, there's nothing worse than you spend all this money and, you get the gear that you really like, and whether it's expensive or not, but you have the perception that you go out there and you're going to always get this and always get that. That is not reality. And it's true that I think this show tonight is our 153rd or 154th performance that we've done down here in a year, and that's a lot, but we hit it real hard, man, and boy, I tell you what, if you go to 10 places, you might get 8 rejections and 2 yeses, you know what I mean? That's the reality, and I really think that people do need to be aware of it, so then they don't, they're not shell-shocked, So, what I wanted to do was, on this Digitech drop pedal, this is really cool. You have this switch called a momentary switch, right? So, this is what you could do with this thing. Now, here's what's really cool with this. Let me get more of a higher gain. I'd have to have it really cranked up, and I got the foot switch a little bit far from my foot, but So there's a lot of cool things you can do with it, but mostly I'll just keep the momentary switch off, and then I have it set. There's numbers on this Digitech drop pedal. It's set to number 5. Number 5, see, it's dropped down in half-step increments. So number 1, if you're an E standard, number 1 would be E flat. Number 2 would be D. 3 would be D flat. 4 would be C, and 5 would be B. So basically, that's my standard tuning. There's my low, my low beat. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And surprisingly, it does work when I run my nylon string guitar in there, because it also does, it'll do a unison, let's see, like a guitar and bass octave. All right, so it'll do that as well. Watch this. So that you hear both the pitch of the guitar and the drop pedal, but it does drop down to one full octave. So if I have it down, let's see, sorry guys, to one full octave, this is what it'll sound like. So let's say if I want to do something with another bass pattern, you know, you can't. And I've used that a few times on my gig over at the restaurant when I want to lay down a bass pattern. So it is a cool sounding pedal. It really is. So, yeah, and you know what? His thing is, if a person does not want to do any gigs or they just want to do videos, I'll tell you honestly, I'm going to definitely be doing more of that as well, because it's a great concept, because you could really set up your own space to anything you wanted to, add some lights, and you don't have to buy anything super expensive. That is the really cool thing about this, because if you have a small space and you got nice, good enough lighting where put on a light show, a real cheap fog machine that, you know, if it's not out inside, you have to take it outside, make sure it'll work outside. You could create your own shows right there and put up your videos right there. And to me, it is a performance. You know, that's kind of like this. How many of you out there, when you started playing, you had assembly hall in school? Because when I started playing, it was in grade school, and the first time I performed was the same year I learned how. You know, I was taking lessons in school. So it was in front of, you know, an assembly hall. And there might be people out there that might say, Dave, that's not really a concert. Are you kidding? The reality is there was like over 300 people in that assembly hall. Try to get 300 people in some of these gigs, you know what I mean? So I don't know. And actually, R2, R3, you might remember this. Back in the mid to late 1980s, Gordon Tech High School on Addison, just a little past Western Avenue, used to have metal concerts. Paradox used to play there. I think Hammer-On used to play there. Lynch, my friend Joey Lynch used to play there. Not Lynch Mob, but Lynch. And I mean, you know, the names, I just forget some of the names because it's been so long. But they used to rent out the high schools and do the gigs at the high schools, at the auditorium, you know, and there's your stage. And I don't remember, you know, there was no snacks, but we didn't care because we were there to watch the bands. So I think that's another avenue if people wanted to get a gig at a certain place, or they wanted to really showcase, to go to the high schools. Matter of fact, in one of our meetings, I was at one of the high schools down here, and I was talking with the sound engineer, and he says, "Yeah, we rent out the auditorium in here. We got all kind of people. Mostly they have orchestra." Yeah. I just subbed nice Neil Young song, my friend. Yeah. You know what? I subbed him too, and I gotta check it out because I saw some of the acoustic stuff he was doing. You see, this is what I mean. I think in this generation, and especially at this time with music and with what's going on with YouTube, it has opened up so many doors. Now there is a young lady. Now I subbed her channel. I want to say, I should have written her name down, guys, and I'll have it written down for the next, probably for Rockin' Ibanez. I'll write it down and just give a quick shout out. I think her name is Paula. Her name starts with a H, but her first name is spelled Paola. And she's doing some beautiful classical guitar playing. And then she'll do some covers with her singing and that, and playing acoustic guitar. But she's a phenomenal classical guitarist. And yeah, she's got some really good stuff, you know. So what the whole point is that there's so much that's going on out there. Oh, I saw a UFO at the Randhurst ice rink at the mall. Oh wow, yeah, dry heat. Dry heat. How long ago was that? See, Deb and I, we saw a UFO, but at the House of Blues, Vinnie Moore was in it. And Vinnie, I like Vinnie Moore. Then we saw Vinnie Moore, of course, before that, with his when he just had released The Maze, that CD. Yeah, it'd be interesting when you can, Dry Heat, to see how long ago that was. Because I remember Lights Out. That was at the Amphitheater in Chicago. I didn't go to that show. I wasn't too young. I was in high school. I don't think I was aware of it. Me and my friends, back in the day, we were saving our money up to get tickets through the Chicago Tribune to see Led Zeppelin back in 1980. And then, of course, you know, John Bonham passed away, and there went that gig, you know. But, so, what I wanted to show you guys, too, is... And speaking of a lot of my influences, I do have a lot. Not, you know, Al DeMiola really influenced me the most, but, you know, I like Robin Trower, I like, you know, the mid-70s. Okay, Dry Heat, so yeah. You know, that might be just before they released Lights Out, or Strangers in the Night. So, yeah, if you've seen them back then, wow, man, you saw the real UFO. I mean, not the one coming out of the sky, you know. But I mean, I'm influenced from a lot of people: Robin Trower, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Hendrix, Carlos Santana, Yngwie Malmsteen, I like Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Tony McAlpine, so underrated, such a killer guitar player and pianist. Vinnie Moore, Rusty Cooley, I like. He's cool. I mean, there's, you know, it's endless. It really could be endless because everyone's got something really unique. Okay. Nylon strings, you've got to really make sure they stretch out, you know. But, you know, I do like the classical and the flamenco style guitar playing, and Rodrigo and Gabriel, I think they're a killer duo, acoustic duo. They're like metal, like shred acoustic, you know. Mount Prospect, Illinois? Wow. Yeah. You know, that was a long time ago, man, and see, all these places disappeared. So at some point, if you can't bring those places back, but you could bring back that idea, bring back that, even if it's in a small place, even if it's, you know, at a VFW or somewhere that people are willing to say, hey, open the doors. And this is what I mean by the clubs. They want covers, you know, because they don't know what they want. You know, they just want to keep people there. But if you find a facility that you really want to play at, and you really want to bring back an 80s metal day, or remember back in the day when there was originals, let's bring that time back, let's bring that era back, you know. Then it comes down to finding a place that'd be willing to just rent out, and you know, turn around and you sell the tickets. And if it's advertised right, and it doesn't have to be, you know, $1 gazillion and a, you know, a poster that's got, you know, that wows everybody. I'm not saying that doesn't grab your attention, but, you know, sometimes people's budgets are tough and tight. Get right to the point. You know, even if you have to draw it out and make copies, get it right to the point, and even put it up on YouTube. You know, hey, at this day we're going to be over here, and we got the spotlight going on. Just the magic is when you rent these places out, that owner of that facility is getting money, so he's not going to turn you away because it's guaranteed. And I would do something like this and just go ahead and record it, and then again, we'll spotlight it to try to generate an interest, you know. And yeah, it might be an uphill battle at first, you know, but if it started and the momentum, even if it's a slow momentum, a startup momentum, at least the ball is rolling to the point where it becomes like, okay, you know, it's like when these people have the daily vlogs and things of that nature. It starts to draw attention to it, and people start to say, "Yeah, I remember those days. You know, we'll check it out. Yeah, that was cool." You know, because it's kind of sad that, you know, everyone wants to pay a DJ more than a musician. You know, I do think DJs do need to get paid as well, though. You know, especially if they're bringing out their gear, and especially if they have a personality. Because we've done quite a few wedding gigs with DJs, and we would talk, and the good DJs. Here's what the good DJs would say to me. They would say, you know what, I can't do what you do, man. That's talent. You know, that's like, wow, I could only do this and I can only do that. But I try to have a personality. The good ones will right away acknowledge to someone's talent, and then, you know, they'll just try to say this is what they do. So it really isn't. I shouldn't say it should be falling on the DJs. It's falling on the perception of what these people think is more important than that. UFO loved playing Chicago. Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, they did, man. Well, you know, the whole thing is, everyone over in England would talk about the Chicago Blues. I remember listening to back on the Loop, back in the day, Jimmy Page was being interviewed, and he said, man, he loved Chicago Blues because, see, back in the 50s and 60s and that, they used to tune in the radio stations, like their underground radio stations in England, and they'd get the all the blues channels and blues shows that would come out of Chicago. And they thought, wow, this is a great place. I'd love to move to Chicago, you know. And that at that time, yeah, we had a really great music scene in Chicago. And it really helped influence the hard rock scene that we had back in the mid 1970s. That's why if you listen to the British blues rock, it's like, and it's not just Chicago blues. It'll take from Texas as well. It'll take any type of blues, you know. And they amped it up, and it's like, oh, that really sounds badass, you know. So as far as like influences and, let's say, stylistically, and I'm going to have a channel called DB Guitar Jams, which will be like an online guitar lessons, and of course we're going to work out the tuition, which will be very affordable, extremely affordable. And it'll showcase what I do and how I build on my technique in that. But there's certain types of new technique that comes out in the metal scene and that I don't jump on the bandwagon right away. I like the way it sounds. Some of it I don't, you know, to be honest with you. But I have, my right hand is not just for fast picking, you know, more tapping. A lot of it is for a lot of the classical guitar world, you know. Tremolos, you know. So a lot of times when I'm playing that style, I'll try to also be real careful on how my hand attacks the strings if I'm trying to convey a certain emotion. Michael B, how you doing, my friend? I've been checking out some of the stuff that you've been putting up on YouTube, on your vlogs. And really some good advice, man. I like how you got your rehearsal set up too, man. Great. So, and a lot of stuff where my thumb is playing the bass line and my fingers are doing the tremolo around the melody. Actually, the thumb is not just doing the bass line is the melody. The fingers are just playing an open B. And then, of course, you got what's called, I believe I'm pronouncing it right, the Rosgados technique. That's where you take your fingers and... Now, I do it backwards from what they train properly. They always train to the pinky comes out, the third finger, the middle index, and up with the thumb. But I do mine backwards because I was trying to mimic what I heard. So yeah, but on this series of DB Guitar Jams, I'll go into how I walk my scales and how I do my arpeggios with my fingers and that. Almost very piano-like. And of course, with the speed picking, And then the difference between playing toward the bridge as opposed to playing over the sound hole. If you're going to play something over the sound hole, it has more of a soft, a soft sound to it to convey a soft emotion. Whereas playing by the bridge, and then I'll go over like finger stretches, Hey Amanda, how are you? Amanda Coombs, good seeing you. So, there'll be a whole lot of it, but that's why the way I play is the way I play, because I'm not just one dimensional. There's other aspects, and then also with like my rhythms, like bossa novas, Adam, what's happening, my friend? Mitch Heyman, how's it going, buddy? So, that's why, for me, like the sweep and arpeggios, I kind of like them and then I kind of don't like them. There's just something that's that in between that it almost, even the most tasteful, clean arpeggio sweep, still, if these guys, ask them all, do that on an acoustic guitar. Play that fast, exactly, with that intensity, and chances are, it's not going to happen. And I'm not knocking them. I'm not knocking them off because you know what? For classical guitarists who just does nothing but play classical guitar, if they grabbed an electric guitar with the high gain in it, they would not know how to control it. So it is both ways. But for me personally, I only like a certain part of it. I don't. There's some of it I like, there's some of it it's just not me. And this is why I think people, when they're going to judge other guitar players, judge them by what their strong point is and what makes them them, you know what I mean? As opposed to jumping on the bandwagon and, if people are playing with their feet, you know what I mean? Now everyone's got to come out and play with their feet, This is what happened back in the day after The Secret was out, what Eddie Van Halen was doing. What happened was, you go to Guitar Center on Milwaukee Avenue in Chicago, and everybody, Jason Wade, how you doing, my friend? How you doing, buddy? Everybody and their grandmother is going like this. Everybody. And it got to such a point, it got so redundant, like real fast. And at one point I was getting super good at it, but, because of my main influence and doing stuff on the acoustic guitar, I like where the notes ring out. And the only way that, me personally, I was able to do that is by having a real strong picking technique. Now let me grab the electric again. So, I hope all that makes sense to everybody. You know, it's certainly not meant to tell anybody what to do and what not to do, right? You know what I love about this guitar so much? The simple fact that I could pretty much go nuts, you know, with it. And it, you know, it's lightweight, so if I want to do, you know, pick it up, not all the time, but once in a while with the whammy bar, it'll do that. Very seldom. I can't remember, maybe 2 times I've busted a string on this, and it was the same high E string. You could do what you call the whammy bar flutters. Basically, you just have your whammy arm locked, you know, whatever way that's comfortable for you, but it's locked. And what's happening is the bridge is going like that real fast, you know. That's all that is. Plus, surprisingly, this guitar has a real good, like a Stratocaster. There's my bridge pickup. Now there's a bridge out of, you know, Coltec. Let's see if I can see some of the comments here. Sorry, guys. Really need to learn how to use my whammy on the Prestige. Yeah, Mitch. You know, it's interesting. Let me ask you a question, because you got the Ibanez Prestige. You have that blue one with the maple fretboard and the ash body. So it's this color, but it's ash, back, sides and back. Ibanez, when I was buying this, they had their regular model Ibanez, just like, you know how they got that emblem? It was not Prestige, exactly like that guitar. And here's the bridge. Do you see? Your tuners are here, and to unlock everything is down here. Now, I've had people say, "Oh, well, what's so unusual about that? Aren't they all like that?" Here is Ibanez's, like one of their. It's not their original edge, but this is their idea. So this is what the edge trim is like. You see how you unlock everything here, and the tuners are way back here. They call that the low profile. Well, it's not gonna work because I've got it on the side. But anyways, so the tuners are actually recessed back. That's Ibanez's. That's their system on their take on how they were able to get around being sued from Floyd Rose, because the guy at Ibanez, Mike, I can't remember his last name. It starts with an S. He said that through all their phases of going through they had a power trim, and they had a different trim on the Ibanez Phil Collins model. It was that black Destroyer with the triple pickups. If you see videos of it, hopefully the guy, whoever has the guitar, will show how that bridge was much different than their edge system. And so they were going through all these experiments, and sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't. And Mike from Ibanez, he said, yeah, but the Floyd Rose system, it works, man. It just seems to work. And somehow he figured out a way to offset maybe the screws, I think it was, he said, and offset something that would not be copyright infringement. So he was able to say, all right, yeah, let's go ahead and make our own. And I think the idea of the word edge came out from like edge of a knife, you know. Okay, Mitch, yeah, that is how your whammy system is. Yep. Ever get your wireless straight? Yeah, I did. You know, I'm going to show you how I did that. Sorry, guys, I'm missing on some of this chat here. Okay, preparing for a late night gig for a live stream. Yes. Cool. Yeah, we will be doing that tonight. Okay, yeah, so this is how I was able to get the wireless system. I come home, and then next thing you know, let's see, where was I? Oh, yeah, I think I was doing my gig at at La Corte. I come home and Deb came back and she just bought another one. So we got 2 of these, you know. You know, honestly, guys, it's fun when, you know, you throw the guitar. That's why I got the washers here. And actually, this is not on all the way because the screw is like sticks out a little bit, but it's holding it. It doesn't make you a better player. It just kind of looks cool. That's it. When you're playing rock or metal or any type of a show with excitement, that element is part of the show. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do that. You know, a good guitar player, they could be standing right there, but boy, if they're shredding away and they sound good, hey, they sound good. But the perception for a person that doesn't care, their perception, they like when I throw the guitar. Dude, I literally had comments like this. I could be playing the most beautiful piece on the classical guitar, or most intense, but as soon as I go like this, and especially if I drop it, because they're like, dude, that rocked. That was awesome. So it's their perception. You know what I mean? I have the Line 60 as well. I'll tell you what, Jason, yeah. We do have, I think we have 3. We do have 3 Sennheiser wireless systems. And the ones we have, they're like in the 6, 7, 8. Reconnecting. Sorry, guys. We'll get better wrap this up in a bit anyways. But with the Sennheiser, yeah, it's range, man. You could go very far. And absolutely no dropouts. But I'm not playing in really big places. And this G10, it works great. So for the amount of money, hey, why not? You know. And plus, technology constantly evolves, as you all know. So it's never ending. So yeah. Only. Yeah, I hear you, Jason. Let's see if I can catch up on some of the chats. I had the tremolo no installed on mine. I'm wondering, Mitch. You know, there is I know. I think I might talk about. See, Ibanez also has called the zero trem or zero return trem or something like that, where it has on the back a little flywheel that you could actually lock it where it stops. Even though you have the space to pull up, it'll actually stop it. So, and I know they had that on their S series guitars and basically and on any of their guitars really, because it's not the guitar, it's the trem itself. Okay, I'm preparing for late night of live streaming and newly. Hey, yeah, thanks, man. So yeah, that's the deal on all that, you know. Are those stock pickups and then Ibanez? Yeah, they are. They are. On this one, I don't know about this, to be honest with you, Jason. I really don't, because I literally found this guitar in a dumpster back in Illinois where we lived. I was throwing some garbage out, and there was this and 2 other guitars just sitting on top of some bags. And there was a little mist of rain, man. I couldn't believe it. Are you familiar with the Marshall Code 50? Also, any Zoom recording equipment? Yeah. Let me show you something here, really, really quick. And I got actually 2 of these. I gotta show you a couple of the cameras I got. I'll show you, and they're Zoom products.
While Dave's getting his Zoom cameras, I'll give you guys one of these bad boys. Yeah.
You see, guys, that's why. When you see the replay, but when I said about my sponsorship, I think you guys are going to like this, because I get a kick out of this. So my sponsors, I call it like this. Sponsored by support from my wife and all of you guys. You know? Hey, if someone wants to sponsor me, I would be honored, you know? But I'm not going to go chasing pipe dreams and all that. I'm begging.
Hey, Jason.
So, okay. Okay, so, yeah, I'm familiar with the Marshall Code 50. There's a guy I saw, God, I forget his name now. He's drinking coffee and he's plugged into his Marshall Code. Dude, it sounded awesome. And then I heard some bad things about it. You know what I mean? There's always pros and cons and everything. You can't do anything. Yeah, Thanks, yeah, thanks R2, and thanks Adam EVH, and yeah, giving Deb a shout out. I'm very familiar with Zoom products. They have got nice recording gear, and they got nice effects as always, as you know. This is my acoustic guitar pedal that I use, and here's all your inputs and outputs. So you got a lot of options, and here's some of the inputs. You guys can see that, and that would be if you want to hook it up to a computer. And then here is your output if you want to run it with 1/4 inch. Plus, it'll take batteries now. So it'll take was it 4 AA's? This series of the Zoom effect units will take the pedal batteries. The earlier, before this new one they got out, the ones before that, the Zoom 3 or something like that, will take batteries. And I'm going to say what's nice with that, if you're in a situation you have to do an outdoor gig, you get hired to do an outdoor gig, and let's say it's a wedding, or even, you know, for a rock and roll wedding, because I've done one of those. I think I've done a couple of those. They want you to have, you know, kind of shred out, here comes the bride on your electric guitar. And I did that once with this guy, and they loved it. But you might be in a situation, they'll be outside in a real exclusive, you know, with trees and birds singing, and there's no power. Well, you got battery-powered gear, you got the gig. Now, here is the first Zoom camera that we bought. And what I like about this is, when I turn this on, see this screen? Hold on. Here, if I can do this. That screen stays lit. It does not fade. So as long as we're recording, it'll stay lit up like that. Now, and this is 720 HD. This was the second Zoom camera we bought, the Q2, high def audio and video. Now I don't have any batteries in it. The screen is a little bit smaller because the actual screen is like not down here, but here and like right there. And then the screen will fade. And then it'll suck time out of the SD card. But Zoom does make great products. They're portable handheld recorders. We've got a couple of Tascams, but I know the Zoom works great. I was giving guitar lessons to a guy named Laser Ray back up in Aurora, Illinois. And he also would work on movie productions. And he would come out with his portable Zoom recorder, and it was it worked great for him because you could slap AA batteries in the thing. You get a long battery life, and he was able to get so much done and get really good clean recordings. And you know, people were saying, "Wow, that's awesome." I wish we were able to do that, but you know, so yeah, my friends. Life really is wonderful. We have our ups and downs like everyone else does. Yeah, so what I'll do is probably for next Saturday, if I have time, setting it up. I'll bust out my Warlock, my BC Ritz Warlock, and I'll demo my guitar synth into all of this, and then you'll see what you could, man, it's sky's the limit, you know. So maybe I do a little jamming. Yeah. Let's see something. What I'm going to do is maybe do, I use the Zoom Q4N for recording. Yeah, see now this right here. Yeah, George, this is really, really cool. Okay, I use the Zoom Q4N for recording. The R8 interface, let me see if I get it, that I'm trying to figure out. Now the Q4N will not let me download to my PC. Yeah, you know what? See, this is what I mean. All of this stuff, when it was first coming out, they would say, yes, you could hook it up to YouTube right away. No, you can't. There's this big headache. And me being as computer illiterate as I am, I just don't have time to waste. I really don't have time. That's why I like what I could do with this phone. Boom, hit it, record, send it, done. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm hoping if we look into that blue Mikey, you know, plug it right into the side. If I want to go direct, I'm not gonna have these issues. We're gonna count to 10. go to a training seminar, just to get my ideas done. I don't need it. It's downtime for me. Not knocking it. If a person, has their heart set in production, that's really cool. I would like to learn some of it, but right now with the gigs and just trying to get new material out, man, there's only 24 hours in a day, and I don't want to be the jack of all trades. I just want to get stuff that I know I can get done and, take it from there. But yeah, whatever works for everybody, absolutely. For instance, all right. Oh, you build your own computer? Yeah, see? Yeah, Mitch, that's, if you're real good like that, you could build to your specs. Yeah. R2, was that a PC rated stream? Oh, Jason's asking R2 that, yeah. See, that's, all of this is like, man, I'm still trying to get over the fact that VHS took over beta. You know what I mean? I missed the analog days where push. And then you remember how you plug things in with the RCA jacks? You got yellow, red, and white. Plug it right in. It's done. Yeah. Let's see something here. I'm trying to get to that check. Yeah, Dave, maybe I'll start using my phone like you said. Honestly, when I watch people's YouTube channels, I really don't judge by, okay, if the sound is here, the sound. I try to look at the performance and the information that I get. Now, if they're able to get a great sounding, audio, especially when I put my headphones on, then yeah, that is a plus. But that is not my determining factor if I want to watch a video or if I don't want to watch a video or something. It's always the content. To me, that's first and foremost. You could have the best video production, the best audio production, post-production. I mean, it's like in 4D, you know what I mean? You could have all that, but if the content is not interesting to me, then, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And plus, the more complex things are, the longer it takes to edit. Dave, if you're on your phone, you're doing real good now. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I am on my phone. Everything that you see on these videos is literally right off of our Android LG phone, with no special microphones plugged in or anything, just right out of the box. And it's nothing, no more than my Digitech RP right into my Roland BA330. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. What time is time? Oh, tonight we are playing 8:30 to 11. Yeah, tonight it'll be 8:30 to 11. I just
8 to 11:30.
Oh, it's 8 to 11:30. See, if it wasn't for Deb, I'm telling you, my friends, that's why she's my main sponsor. Wow. Sorry, guys. It is 8 o'clock tonight. 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Eastern. And some funny pictures.
Oh yeah. There's yeah. See.
Dave and Deb, that was a wedding we did in June. They played for cocktail hour.
Yeah.
We got into the photo booth.
Got into the photo booth.
Some goofy pictures of Deb in the photo booth. All right, guys. Sorry to bother you.
They like it. I like it too. But yeah, let me see, guys. There was a statement here. Sorry. Dave, you're using home Wi-Fi right now? Yeah. R2, I'm testing my new Stratcast with my iPhone, and I think it sounds pretty good. You know what? If it's up, yeah, I'll check it out. Because again, I don't listen, and I'm not knocking these people, but I kind of find it laughable when I see these programs. Yes, send me your content, and I will listen to your content. And for, $25 an hour, whatever the case is, I will critique what you should and shouldn't do. Now, sorry guys, what R2, R3 said about, he thought it sounded pretty good. You know what? A lot of times, when someone asks me a question, Dave, what do you think of this idea? What do you think of that idea? I don't sit there and listen to, well, you didn't use the SM57 on the bottom speaker off access and a room. I don't. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the performance. You know. Now, of course, if it sounds like, yeah, and I still will try to cipher through all that to hear the idea, because to me that's the important thing. But when some of these people want to charge you an arm and a leg, and then all of a sudden you're not seeing the results from your hard-earned dollars when you could put your stuff up on YouTube and let the people decide, because you're not going to sell your, if you're going to sell CDs, let's say, you're not going to sell your CDs to someone with Mr. Spock ears that is going to critique everything. Those aren't the people you're going to sell, who's going to be buying your CDs. The people who are buying your CDs are the people that live down the street and, you know, over in this town, and they just love your music. They could care less. SM57, they don't know, is that like an AK-47? They don't care.
Yeah, I was going to jump in real quick and say, yeah, those are very biased opinions, and the only time that I sent David's music to be critiqued, so to speak, was when I sent his blues CD to a blues label, Alligator Records. I sent Dave's CD, a blues CD to, and the owner wrote us back a letter, said that he's very good guitar player, very good music. However, it was not his genre of blues that he signs. So
yeah, and that was right. That's Bruce, I forget his last name, but his first name is Bruce, president of Alligator Records, and he was very polite, but he was very straightforward. See, those are the people I honor and respect. And I didn't go and cry and, you know, stuck my head in a bucket of water. I'm done. No. You know, never do that to yourself. You know, don't let people make second-class citizens out of you. And that's why you might see me in some of these videos that kind of latch out on that, because those people are out there, and I've experienced it, and all they want to do is suck money out of you and hold you back. I'm like, are you kidding me? Once you figure out the name of the game, I just bypass all those people. And then what happens is they don't want to talk to me, or if I'm in a conference. We've gone to several music conferences, and I'll say something, they want to like turn away, they don't want to hear it, and because they don't have to. And I never call anybody out by name, because I never want to do that. But I really think it's sad that you got these predators out there sucking money out of hard-working people who sometimes they're on their last leg of hope of doing something with their music. And boy, it's like one shoot down after another shoot down. But I'll tell you what, you give me $5,000 and I'll listen to it, and I'll tell you if so-and-so from this record company that's getting ready to go out of business, and this radio station that's going to get ready to be changed into something else, I'll let you know if it's good enough that you can be played on the radio. Oh, BS, man. You know, who cares? The thing that happens is they take your money, though. And one of the conferences we were at, I'm sitting a couple of rows in front of this guy, and he's taking a second mortgage out on his house. He wrote like 10 songs, spent over $15,000, which can be cheap on what their standards are. And they told him to write more songs because, you know, he needs more content. Now, Deb's got something good to say.
I just want to jump in one more time, guys. Going back to what Dave does say about music being a want and not a need. Somebody will always want your music.
Yeah.
Someone.
Absolutely.
Therefore, personally, I do not submit David's music to anyone to be critiqued, because they want to get, of course they want to get paid to critique, that's fine. However, what their opinion it's their opinion is just that, an opinion.
Yeah.
And they're not the one who is going to be buying Dave's music, probably. So with that, somebody will always want your music and will pay for it.
Yeah, and thanks for that, Deb. Yeah, and guys, none of this is meant to discourage anybody. But think about this: if you come out, and some of you, maybe you have another side passion, you like to cook, and you come up with a recipe, and I'm sure there's bias in that market too, But people are gonna buy it because they like it, and there's gonna be some people that are not gonna buy it because they don't like it. I mean, that's how life really is, and that's why I never do that. Okay, so. Yeah, Wi-Fi. Jason, if you gotta take off, Sorry about that, my friend. Have a good afternoon. We'll see you tonight. I just went aboard on purchase that I really didn't need. Should I have purchased a Mac? Well, let's see something. Now, George, here's the pros and cons I've heard of Mac. Now, my wife, she does everything on the computer. If you ask me about Mac, to me it's like, what is that? Macaroni and cheese? Yeah. You know what? What is your intention and what are you using the Mac for? Because I have heard a lot of good that it was for the music. I guess it really is good. I'm gonna try to find out. Great photos. Oh, cool. Thanks. Yeah, thank you, Sonia. Oh, thank you, Sonia. Yeah, that's the name. Yeah, Mitch, you got it. That's his name. I'm rereading some of these chats, guys, as I'm going here. Yep, the woods are full of them. They're full of the snakes and the sharks, man.
If he's using the Mac to edit video, I've edited both on the Mac and a PC, and both videos have turned out fine. You can see both of them on our other YouTube channel. I could probably transfer them over to this one, but yeah.
The other YouTube channel, guys, it is still under my name, Dave Byron. You'll see me holding both the BC Rich Warlock and the Cordoba, But it's still under my name, so I don't go under fictitious names, Yeah, Dave, they tried that with me, but I knew better. Just like you are saying, they just want your money. That's it. George. That's it. That's it. And again, when people are going to offer a service, I understand the fairness of them being paid for their time. So that is not what I'm saying. And you could tell when people are going to be very legit people, because they will be the ones that will say, well, yeah, this is my fee and this is what I do. And, in the conversation or in the meeting session with you, they'll say, but no, always keep in mind that there really is no guarantees. But I'll do my best. And I'll contact you. Or if you contact me, and if I'm out on the road, I miss your call, I'll call you back. And I'll let you know the status of what's going on. And, but you see, what makes it hard for that is, this is why I say have that backup plan. Because music is like this. Its income is constantly like this, okay? And these people, they need that income. They need people's money to keep them afloat. Okay, let's see. Sonia's got a good point. Sorry about that, Sonia. Let's see. I work on computers. I do not recommend any current Apple computers unless you get the extended warranties. They have some issues. Oh, that's good to know, Sonia. That's real. And you said current ones. Yeah, that's good to know. You know what? I think you got a good, strong point there. And the reason being is that when Steve Jobs passed away, God rest his soul, now you got other people that's got to take over. And in the board of directors room, now so-and-so that maybe wasn't that good as being a service tech, and maybe, let's say Steve Jobs knew that, okay, and says, okay, your strong point is in sales, not into repairs, okay, or into designing. But that person, they want to be known as a designer, right? So Steve Jobs passes away, and then the boards, all the boardroom, all the, people change. They elect each one out and put each one in. Now all of a sudden, this person is no longer in sales. Now they're in design. And these things happen. And this, I'll tell you guys, and we all know this, it is no different. Some people, they get older, but they never grow up. They'll have issues, and they never let go of those issues. And the problem is that they become biased. And that is the straight up cold hard truth. Yeah. Oh, Tim Cook in charge of Apple. That's right, Mitch. Yeah. I have another MacBook that came in yesterday for repair. I am doing board level repairs on them. Wow. Now, see, that says a lot right there. That says a lot, Sonia. And we're back. Kind of like the late great Arnold Murray used to say on Shepherd's Chapel. And we're back, for his Q&A he would do. Yeah, I like the Apple album by the Beatles. Yeah. I only work on PCs, no Macs. Yeah, see, here is this conflict. And see, for a person like myself, I mean, I know there's a difference, but I really don't know that much about the difference. But it makes sense what you said, Sonia. If you got something that came in and you work on the computers and they came in and all of a sudden you're working on a board that maybe the past, and when I mean by past I mean with the last 10 years or so, the Macs, when they were first coming back, they're coming back because they've always been around, but they're coming back and they changed the world. And Steve Jobs, and they had good engineers and good sales reps. Maybe those computers are the ones that are lasting, and ones you're seeing now is kind of like the situation with Gibson, and hopefully Henry could, the CEO can say, okay, let's pull back and then reanalyze what's going on. Yeah, so that's what happens if there's issues with it. Then, Now, what I was saying about, and I think George said this, George and Mitch said this about they'll take your money, and sorry guys, my fingers is scrolling down. They, when I say these things, it's never meant to, yeah, George, George had that comment, yeah, they just want to take your money. I think when a person's young or when a person has the money to do this, it's a great experience, And can you make contacts with these people? Absolutely, you can. But you also cannot make contacts with these people, or, you better have deep pockets. And this is the way how we figured all this out, especially when we had our construction companies, Okay, let's see, sorry about that. Macs are great for video editing. Okay, I'm going to get back to those statements because I don't want to lose my train of thought here. When we got into construction, of course, Deb had her stair company before I got into HVAC. And it was not a dream of mine, but it was something that became a necessity, And she told me, she says, Dave, make sure you got thick skin because there's a lot of people out there that, they'll want to take advantage of you. And she was right. In that sector, and I think Adam EVH, Adam's a great guy, man. Straight shooter, hard worker, you know what I mean? Great guy, man. No holds, no BS. That's what I like about you, Adam. I thought you said you were doing pipe fitting and that. Very hard work. And when you have to deal with whoever's supervising that project, the person that actually do the work understand because we're doing the work. The people that are playing the power trips and that do have the money, maybe they'll want things done a certain way, but technically and legally it cannot be done like that. We would run in situations in our sector in heating and air conditioning was residential new construction, so it was all these new homes. There was a lot of times I would be meeting with the builder, we'd go out in the field and we look at a situation. Dave, can I do this? What do you think? I think this should be all right. And I would tell him, I'm not going to be able to do that. You will not pass code. I had a situation where I had to tell a builder, and the house was sold, so it was not a spec house. The house was sold. The guy that bought it, he was an engineer. And this is just to give you an example of this type of mindset. And you're going to find this in music, and it's everywhere. But anyways, the guy that was an engineer bought the house, and I had a situation because to feed heat supplies and cold air returns to the second floor bedrooms, the walls, the framing of the walls, they were not lining up. I couldn't get any pipe. You know what I mean? So instead of things being kind of unison, where I could stick oval pipe in, the wall on the first floor would end here, but the framed wall on the second floor, everything was all cockeyed. I couldn't get things through. And so I told him this, and actually from the basement, feeding from the basement up into the... Anyways, I told him this, and he did not want to budge. So I said, well, how about you fur the wall out in the kitchen area, because his master bedroom and master bathrooms were right above the kitchen and area where you're coming off the garage. So I said, if you fur the wall out, meaning here's your wall in the framing stages, add a couple of inches. So let's say if you're going to add, I want to say about 4 inches. You got a huge kitchen anyway. You're not going to really notice that 4-inch difference.
Hey, you got a question.
Oh,
George is asking you a question.
George is asking me a question? Okay, sorry, George. Oh, George, not to change the subject, but it's Samba de Tea by Carlos Santana. A hard song for you. I'm trying to learn. Oh, you know what? It right now off the top of my head. Song for you. I'm trying to learn. Oh, you know what? Here. And I'll get back onto that subject with, basically, if I think it's... I have to learn it again, because that's just been so long since I played it. But you're going to have a slide coming in. Da, da, da. Sorry about this, guys. See, I'm trying to hear it in my head and replay it. It's probably so simple. You know what? I used to play that a lot. A lot of it is like real slow slides in. This is cool. I'm glad that you asked that, because you get to see, if it's something I haven't played in a while, then you get to see what's going on. So I have to kind of go over it, but we're not in a good situation here. So let's say if I have the tabs, and okay, if I get the right note, and then it's just a matter of working out what fingering pattern is going to be the most comfortable for you. And the reason why I say that is when you're going to play the song, you want as less stress or fumbleness in your fingers, right? For me personally, I could do a slide in with my pinky, index finger, Now, for me personally, I improvise a lot. So, but if let's say I had to take it note for note, I would take the time required and just work on it and work on it, work on it, and build it in sections. Build it in sections that, if you take section 1, it's going to make sense to you. It's not going to be like da 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 da. Where there's these glitches. You ever notice if you look at sheet music, and when you look at sheet music and you'll say 4/4 time, and you'll have like 1 2 3 4, and then the actual melody might be da 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 da, but it stops at da 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 da, and that da will be on the next measure. The reason why I bring this up is I had students that would block things in sections, but then it wouldn't make sense because that note that's in the next measure would be like the main accent note, but then they get themselves all screwed up. So that's why I would take things in segments that make the most sense, that's the most comfortable for you to play, because here's the reality. That's how you're going to hear it in your head. And that makes really, to me, the most sense, Okay, you need a special license for a pyrotech. You know what? Sean Murphy, yes. Here, I'm glad you mentioned that. Why do fire, yeah. Yeah, oh no, thanks so much, man. Dave, I was in the HV tree for over... Wow, so George, Yeah, now see, here, I'm glad you... Wow, George, you got far more experience in that trade than I do, man. Oh, yeah, far more. So and there's so many aspects of that trade. Residential, commercial, industrial, and each one has its own set of codes. You might be familiar, George, with the organization called RSES. It stands for Refrigeration Service Engineers Society. You know, let's see, we were in business for what, 7 years or something like that, and then of course the crash of the housing market wiped out everything, you know. But you know, I graduated at trade school, and one of my instructors said about joining
Installs, repairs.
installs.
Totally two different divisions.
Oh yeah. My wife chimed in there. Installs, repairs. I mean, there's so much. And then with the regulations with EPA, the changing of refrigerants, R12, R22, virgin refrigerant phased out in 2010, I believe it was. So you would still have 22 available, but then the price went sky high. We used to get a 30-pound can for about between 56 and 80 bucks or something like that, you know. I mean, a big 30-pound can. And then after it was phasing out, now they're like over $1,000, man. I mean, it's insane to try to keep up, and the amount of. Now Deb's got
another question. Do you play Cliffs of Dover?
Oh, do I play Cliffs of Dover? You know, not yet. I did see that. Let's see. I did see that. It's a tough song. You know what makes it a tough song? It's the way the pattern is. That's what makes it a tough song. Mr. Big, the band had Paul Gilbert using, a drill. Yeah, and then he stuck the picks on the drill. Yeah. Look, okay, Louis Rosman to learn about Apple build quality. Whoa, yeah. Now that is all he works on, and his business is based on. Oh, he's here on YouTube. Sonia, that's some great advice there, because you know what? That's going to give everyone the skimmy on the Apple versus the PC. So yeah, I kind of missed it. Started 13 years in the field and remained years as project manager. Oh, and sales rep. Oh, wow, yeah, George, that's quite impressive. So you see, for someone like you were in the field, right? So you have field experience. It's not like I read a book and I looked at a video, and you know how the training videos are. The guy, he's going to install the furnace, right? And I've seen these videos, and even his shirt is like permanent pressed, and they don't show him installing the furnace, but he's down in the basement with this huge open area, and he comes out and his fingers are not even dirty. Now you know that's not reality. Okay, so Mitch Heyman's got a question. I'm gonna try to catch up on these chats. Talking about a hard song to learn. I'm trying to learn Cliffs of Dover. I'll never get that fast. You know what, Mitch? There is something kind of like I call like a secret code to all this, to building the speed. I'm gonna start doing this, and I'm gonna start putting myself as the guinea pig, learning these songs. So I'll use myself as the example. I can't do it right now because right off the top of my head, you know, it's kind of blank. But what I'm going to do is take each part of these songs that technically they're a little bit challenging to me because the pattern is different. I'm going to play them slow and accurate, but put a lot of expression. Now, what you might see is me spinning off an idea off of that. But what you're going to really see is you will build on the technique. And what happens is, as you're doing the technique, you're going to make it very musical. And you're going to get to the point that over a course of time, you will naturally be able to build it up to that speed. But you're going to have something that a lot of people won't have. You'll be able to play it fast and very accurately and very musical, but you could slow it down and play it just as accurate and, most importantly, just as musical. To a point where a person will say, you know what, I like that slower version better. That sounds kick-ass. If that makes sense, because that is really the secret on nailing technique. Because what happens, it stays in your mind. It comes like, muscle memory to the point where you could do it in your sleep. And that's how you really build up accuracy and control of the instrument. And I'll tell you what, guys, I know there's people out there that might say, no, Dave, to learn how to play fast, you do have to play fast. And they're only half right on that, because the other half, you have to have control. Otherwise, it sounds like, well, yeah, I'm playing fast. fast, but there's no control. You know, so you do have to have a sense of control. Okay, so I'm trying to catch up with the. Why do rock clubs violate the fire code? Oh yeah, we used to be able to do the pyrotechs, and then ever since after that incident happened with Great White, you gotta have a fire marshal. But yeah, if those clubs want to violate it, you know what? Let them go and do it, because it'll be on them, not you. Because if you do something, and this is how the lawyers look at it when people get sued, and I'm not an expert, but it's kind of common sense. My wife, she was studying to be a lawyer at one time, so she does know about this, and I'm sure a lot of you know about it too. Maybe there's some lawyers out there as well. They're going to go after the person who's got the most money. So the club owner, yeah, he's got money, but then let's say the band happens to be a local cover band, and as a local cover band, they don't have that much money, but guess what? The lead singer, he owns his own HVAC company, or he's a plumber, he's got a plumbing company, or he's a flooring guy, and he's got a big shop down the street. Well, what happens, and now I could be wrong, okay, I could be wrong, but see, his name is tied to this. There's a fatality, and that's why, you know, continuance to court date, continuance, because they're going to try to recoup. Now, I could be wrong, guys, and if I am, I apologize. But money's always the name of the game out there. I could get the first part familiar easily, but samba, but some of it really is hard to get it in my brain. The explanation of it is, oh, well, yeah, thank you so much. You know, I am not really, how can I say, I don't really super analyze things. I try to look at as they really are, and then I try to apply those techniques to help me out. And a lot of it does come down to common sense, you know. So you have to always do something that's going to work for you, you know, because you are actually the one that's actually playing it and doing it. And you know what? There is no shame if it takes a person a lot longer than somebody else to learn it. There really is no shame in that. Me personally, I will never not mock a person, say, ha ha, you're not getting it, or it's going to take you forever, or you never. No, I'll never do that, because you see, that same person will surprise you in the long run. The next, you know, they'll be kicking your butt all over the place, you know. So always look at the reality of it, you know. Okay, yeah. I'm trying to catch up. I could play a little bit of it, but it sounds like it's in slow motion. Well, you know, Mitch, if you play even in slow motion, I really think, as long as it sounds musical. Because you ever see when people do these renditions of these songs, and let's say they're going to purposely play them slow, they put a lot of depth of expression, emotion in it. I think that's really the key. And then over that course of time, now you kind of enjoy playing that pattern over and over again, because now there's a lot of expression. Therefore, it helps you, you know, skyrocket in the long run. You know what I mean? Okay. Now, okay. After OSHA came in, yeah, it changed it. You are so right. Georgia, after OSHA came in, it changed the HVAC industry. Most of the trades as well. Yeah. I remember they come out, if a house is being built, and if it did not have gutters, they told you to put on a hard hat. Okay? Well, you know how some of these gutters are. And let's say the roof on the house has got slate tile. There's a big pile of slate tile. Or just even, you know, even the, after they got the felt paper before they put down the shingles. You know, that comes in long, big rows, and it's heavy. So you mean to tell me that little gutter, as good as it is, okay, is going to stop something that heavy from rolling on it and then rolling, and, you know, even if you got a hard hat, it's going to hurt. Now, am I saying that that's not a good idea? The hard hat would definitely help protect, But I'll tell you what, and I'm sure you've seen it out there too. You know, people out there getting high, people out there drinking, or people out there being obnoxious. The radio's blasting, the profanities coming out. We're on a job site, not with our company, but with a different company. I will not mention any names. And we're in the basement. They used to call us tinners, because we're banging the ductwork, tin, you know. So I had to go to the truck to get some more materials. We needed some elbows, 6-inch adjustable elbows. I heard some walking upstairs. Now the radio's on and the profanity's blasting out, and that's just normal on a job site. But when I went to go to the truck, the footsteps I heard walking was a lady. So I go get the elbows, and I grab some screws, and I go back downstairs, and I say, hey guys, you know, maybe we ought to cool it with the loud music and profanity. There's a woman out there. Well, this is what, F that, and of course they dropped the C word. Now, you know she could hear it because sound travels, right? And if you say it loud enough, and construction workers, you know, we talk loud. Just like metalheads, we talk loud because of our hearing, right? Well, it turned out that lady was the builder's own wife. So, guess who did not get the next house? You see what I mean? That's one way of blowing a sale. That's one way of blowing business, turning business away. You know, you got to be careful. You don't know who people are out there. But yeah, OSHA, they did kill the trades. I learned the fire code inside and out, but I'm not. Oh, yeah, and I'm sure it's very mind blowing. Well, I used to have to look at the code books when we got into the business. And I'm looking at the code books, right? And when you're young, I don't want to say young, but when you're new to this, you're going to try to take as much information because you want to learn as much as you can because you want to be good. I'm reading these code books, and it gets right to the good part, you know, where the butler's going to throw them to the sharks, you know, the good part. It gets right to the good part of the point of the information, and then it tells me, go to section 482/B on page 292. So I turn the page. I start to read it. I don't get my point. It'll say something else. It'll say, go to section 302/E. You know what I mean? I'm not getting a clear message. I'm admitting I don't understand this. So if I'm admitting I don't understand this, is there somebody out there who can help me explain it so I can understand it, so I can get the job done? No. What they do is they play these games. Confusion games. See, that's why I don't like that. I like straight talk. I have no problem saying I don't understand something. But I find it awfully strange when I'm admitting I do not understand something and I got my hand up. Teacher, could you explain this to me? The person in charge that's supposed to be able to explain it to me is going like this in their explanation to the point where I don't know what the hell this guy is talking about. Now I'm more confused. And as opposed to saying, look, Dave, let's sit down. This is what's happening, and this is what you need to understand. And okay, at this point, this is something I have to look into. Just be straightforward. How hard is that? Didn't mean to go on and tell you. Yeah, OSHA changed the. Oh boy, big time. Big time. Hey, Whiskey OG, what's happening? Yep, just shooting the breeze here. British Blues, what is happening? I'm a little bit behind in the chats, guys. I apologize about that. Yeah, the British Blues. We met, speaking of British Blues, we met Robin Trower back in 2006, I think it was, in Lisle, Illinois. Really cool guy. How do you play? Oh, I'd have to look into that. I'd have to pull that up, Sean Murphy. Yeah, I apologize about that. But see, I don't erase my live programs. So now I can look back and say, oh yeah, Sean Murphy asked about this question. See if I can check it out for you, my friend. Yeah, people saying, Jim Geetrid, again, what's happening, brother? You're all right, my friend. I like what you do. Oh, see, yeah. Sean Murphy, yep. Oh, BMG Music told me they own the rights. I'm telling, it's sad in one way and good in another way. That's right. George, that's right. Hard hats are as hard as they're going to hit you, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Adam EVH. Adam and Jim, your guys, and a lot of you guys are hard workers out there, man. You know what it is out there. I think I'm caught up on my chats here. Sorry, guys. Tin Whacker, yeah. Yep, the Tin Man. It's all about, yes, interpreting the codes. Yeah. You know what? That's a really good point, Adam. Codes are laws, and one can interpret them 20 different ways. Oh, see, Adam, I'm glad now. See, right there explains why they're so confusing. Because they're interpreted 20 different ways, But I remember asking about doing the cold air return. See, what was going on in Naperville, Illinois. If the house was very tightly built, and this started a series of videos that would be in the industry. When I would go to these meetings through RSES, there would be these topics, and there would be topics in the schools as well called sick building syndrome. And what was happening is they were building these houses so tight, because of the cold weather and that. People were starting to get sick because by nature, houses, you do have to have some sort of a fresh air coming through. So these houses we would work in, they'd be selling for like $1 million to $2 million, and all custom homes. We'd call them the mini mansions. It was specified if you had X amount of BTU rating in what would be the mechanical room. Now, mind you, the mechanical room would not be walled in yet, but the perception, it was going to be a separate room. If it exceeded a certain amount of BTU rating input, then you would have to have 2 pipes coming in for fresh air. One was a high and one was a low. And I'll never forget this. It would be an elbow for the high, come out and just elbow down, and that was it. And then the one low would be an elbow and a pipe that would stop about a foot off of the ground. And depending on the BTU rating would depend on the size. And there was a couple times I would literally have 2 8-inch pipes. One was an 8-inch pipe that would stop a foot off the ground. One would be an 8-inch elbow that would just stop for fresh air. Now here's the problem. The lady of the house or whoever it is would say there's a lot of cold air blowing in that. Well, of course you got cold air blowing in the house if you did not finish the room. And a lot of people, they're on a budget. They're not going to, as soon as they move in, they're not going to wall off their mechanical room. That's just not going to happen. They'll do it later. So what happens is you got all this cold air blowing in. As soon as you open up the door to the basement, ooh, geez, it's freezing. It would literally be, when I used to go in, because we'd have a year warranty, I'd go in and, change the filter for them and, do the cleaning check and that. And I'd see, literally, coming in through, especially the pipe, the elbow, snow flurries coming in. Big 8-inch, think about it, 8-inch pipe. 2 of them. You got one high and then one low. So no wonder why you got all this cold air coming in. So people would stick pillows in there and block it all off and that. And but it would be like ridiculous what you had to do. But it was because people wanted these houses so tight, it just spawned off all of this that was going on, And as much as the trades was fun, getting into them, it was a great experience. Let me tell you, it really was a great experience, But, to get back into it, especially as owner-operator, wow, man. It's, no, thank you, because it's startup costs. It costs money. Everything's money. So you see, this is why, now when I do the comparison to that sector, and Deb and I talk about this, to the comparison of the music industry, and the video that Deb put up, where she had it like a little chart. Here is the trades, here is the music, the bands are the employees, and that.
Very basic, simple.
Very basic, very simple. The problem is in the music industry, there is such a smokescreen of confusion that separates us versus them that it's so easy for people to be taken for a ride. And people will value, not everybody, a lot of you are smart out there, but the perception is a person will value somebody if they're endorsed by a product, if they have 999,472,262 subscribers on their YouTube channel, and or they were on this hit record and that, and I'm not knocking any of that, but if their playing and their experience is maybe, or their advice is maybe this compared to all of this that's supposed to be their in their resume, and they come out like this, for this much money, I'll turn you into a star. You can turn yourself into a star if you win the lottery. Or if you have a lot of money. If you have your own company and you fund your project, you don't need those people. And I guarantee, from experience, not everybody, because there's some good people out there, but the ones that are playing the game, they will never want to have anything to do with you, only because you figured out what their secret code is. And the secret code is MONEY. They don't like that. They really don't like that. But again, would I ever tell somebody not to subscribe to a service or not to check it out? Go ahead and check it out, because if it does work for you, hey man, that is great. That is fantastic. More power to you. And if it's something you like, absolutely then. Oh, see, George, you got a good point, right? Yes, this is what's happening. Okay. Yeah, the term were a great change. A lot of the new codes in Florida does make sense, though. Bolting down a condenser. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Now, when we were doing HVAC, it was up in Chicago, Illinois, in the Chicagoland, in the suburbs. We would work in Naperville, Bolingbrook, Batavia, South Elgin, and the whole surrounding areas, because a lot of the new housing, that's where it was happening, Down here in Fort Myers area, I do see, in the Cape Coral areas, I see a lot of houses being built, and when I'm driving around, it's so weird because everything, it's like sand, the ground's different, but they make their houses out of cinder block. I guess that's the code, so for the hurricanes and that. But yeah, it'd be a lot different criteria down here. Like up north, it won't matter as much if you happen to oversize by a few hundred BTUs of cooling if it's oversized, your AC unit. But down here up north, because it's not as cold, it's hot, long days, you know what I mean? But down here in Southwest Florida, it's crucial to have it. They would prefer to be undersized rather than oversized because of the humidity. And I've listened to a guy on the radio say something like that. Yeah. Yeah. But, I don't want to really get back into all that because of the pain in the ass that it is. I'm going to scroll down because I think I have missed a couple of comments here, and I apologize, guys. And we're going, it's over 2 hours. A building inspector once told, this is going to be real, told an owner to plane 1/8 of an inch off of a wooden rail. Oh, you know what? Sean, you're absolutely right. Because the company that Deb had, after they got out of the sound company in the late 80s, early 90s, they were designing custom speakers. They go out to NAMM and spend like $2,500 for a booth, and that's another subject for another time. And that's why, to me, NAMM is, you know what I mean? The wow factor, my friends, it will wear off. It's like this. You buy your new guitar. Remember that new guitar that you bought? Now it's already 3 years old. Let's say you got some other ones. You still look at it? Dude, that's awesome. You stare at it for like, quite a few minutes. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And I'm not knocking it. But the point is, At some point, that wow factor wears off. But that's a different subject for a different time. So then Deb did, her and her business partner had a custom oak stair company. And up in Illinois, it became code that you could not fit a ball between the balusters. Now, the balusters are what they call spindles. You couldn't fit a ball between the two. Is that right, Deb? Yeah, you could not fit. Yeah, because the city inspectors come by or would flag it, and you don't pass inspection. You fail inspection, so you got to go through all that work again. So it's interesting. Yeah, BTU, British Thermal Units. Let's see. I remember American Devil says, I remember in the 90s we had to start installing whole house fans, yes, and timers to address sick house syndrome in Washington State. We were still installing baseboard heaters, back then as electricians. Wow. So that was in Washington State. You see, each state there's these different codes, But yeah, see, sick building syndrome. This was all over. Because all these ideas people were having, they had to come up with a solution if someone got sick. Because this is what happens: you get sick, and to the point where you're in a hospital, or there's, God forbid, there's a fatality. That's real bad. That's where the attorneys really get in. I mean, they'll get involved. And if you're in a hospital, don't get me wrong, they'll get involved if you break a fingernail. But next thing you know, you break the fingernail, but you're in court with a neck brace on. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of BS going on, and that's how it really is. Okay, I'm sorry about it. I'm just so much I'm missing here. In California, the buildings would have to be built to withstand earthquakes. Yes. Only one time, there was really a couple, but one time in particular, in Chicago, Illinois. I lived down the street from Wrigley Field. I was having lunch, and I remember I could feel rumbling. And actually, our chandelier was moving. And Illinois was experiencing a tremor, so... Let's see, California, that's a lot, of course, with the fires out there. Yeah, EPA, too. Yeah. Oh, there's so much debate with EPA. I'll explain what one of my instructors, when I was at ETI, Environmental Technical Institute, in Itasca, Illinois. His name was Mr. Penner. I don't know if the gentleman's even alive today. He was very knowledgeable. He used to work for the Department of Energy. And him and a lot of very top scientists that he worked with was constantly butting heads with EPA. Now, Mr. Penner did say, he said, guys, I'm going to tell you, there was some good that EPA did do, so I'm not trying to knock him. But what happened was, after they addressed a certain issue and they fixed a certain issue, now they're on payroll collecting a paycheck, but there's no issues to address. So it's kind of like this. You make the perfect car that's never going to break, and if you don't have money to make another perfect car, why should someone buy another car? If you made the perfect one, it's never going to break, never be serviced. Now you just put yourself out of business. In a way. So he was explaining to us that it came down to the point where all of these new rules and regulations that EPA was coming up with could be proven to be false, and proven to be wrong, or proven to be a lot of coincidence, and things would kind of change. And the whole issues with global warming, I really don't want to get involved in all that, because some people, if they want to believe that, that's fine. I'm not gonna rain on people's parades or, tell them what they should and shouldn't do. I stay out of that. But I do know when we were involved in the trades, it was, and I'd go to these meetings. You could see between the lines, my friends, job justification, and it's sad. It's real sad. But you know, so I guess like I said, with the bias in the music, you got bias everywhere, right? What are you gonna do? You know. So yeah, my friends, I am going to wrap it up now. We've been on for like 2.5 hours. You know, I really appreciate all you guys and gals out there. You know, you make this worthwhile. I always try to inspire as much as I can, and sometimes I'll start out playing, and I have fun playing and that, but then I get involved in conversations and that, and I was sharing the experiences that I had, and I'm not the only one with experiences. There's a lot of you out there with experiences for a lot more than what I've been experiencing. I say, let's see, is that going down? Yeah. I say some of the things that I'll say only because I don't want to see good people, get suckered. And unfortunately, music. This is kick ass. This is great. Yeah, R2 R3. God bless you, my friend. Thank you so much, Sonia. You know what? We just try. We're not. We're not better than anybody else, but we just try to share our real life experiences with people, and if it could help a person, in the process, I really think that's so much worth it, and then it can also inspire people that they could open and say, you know what, yeah, this is my experience, this happened with me, and blah blah blah, Oh, let's see, I got yeah. Okay, let's see. Now they call it home comfort system. Yeah, meaning much money for a central heat pump. Exactly. This is yeah, with variable speed. Yep. Oh, the zoning system. Yeah, I said there's the zone systems. Yeah. There's so much that you can use it as good that will make sense, but then when you go to all these meetings and it's like, okay, it becomes a sales pitch. Now, to be fair for the salesperson that is trying to sell a good product, a lot of them, they are very good, and you learn a lot. But then you also learn a lot that sometimes there's BS in there too, so it's both ways. Absolutely. Oh, thank you, Sonia. Everyone is worth being subbed to. Do you know guitar? Oh. Yeah, Oh, wow. Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Sean. I've been playing for a very long time, and I've gone through literally. I gotta sit down and count. If it wasn't 100, it was close to, or maybe over 100 guitars. And I started in a time where we didn't have all the luxury of all this stuff. To pull a good sound, you had to pull it out of the amp. Good luck. My first electric guitar. Very first electric guitar was a cheap Checkmate guitar and an amplifier that you clicked it on, and that was one volume, and it were like this thin, real tall. The back panel was open, and it was so basically the cabinet was like this, and it had this little tiny speaker in the middle. So I know what crap sounds like. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thank you, guys, and guess what? We will see you tonight at the show. I will give everyone a shout out. You guys totally rock, my friends. Again, Rockin' Dave, thank you for joining. Always desire to inspire, to hold the doors of opportunity, give people a fair shot in life, and it'll all come back to you, my friends. And keep things real. Until tonight, we will see you tonight. God bless everybody. Rock and roll. We love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.